ready when you are then.
How about you, Rebecca?
Oh wow, this guy.
We have a studio audience outside, so socially distanced, but if they chime in, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't play the music.
That'd be amazing if
Yeah.
they could start playing WAP song.
All right, welcome.
Anyway.
Welcome.
I had a headache last night.
Welcome everyone, week 14 of the closeout. James Lissaman, Community Basketball Manager here.
Laurie McDaniel, Community Development Manager.
And Clive Beaumont, General Manager.
To be fair, I do never write that down on how you're meant to introduce yourself.
Yeah, because that's the only way I know what my job is.
Hopefully this is our last weekend at level 2, but please remember to pre-plan your group that will be coming into the game. Most of the groups are pretty well organised, but there's the odd people that think, hey, I don't know if I'm meant to be coming or not, so I think I'll just come. General messages, if you aren't sure if you should be coming, the answer is no, you should not be coming. But hopefully, fingers crossed, after Sunday's game is complete, then we're at level 1, and then, hey, yeah, you're most
Everyone
welcome to
can
come
come.
to games.
That was about as clear as a government message on it. Well,
Yeah.
really.
If you're not part of the 20, don't come.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Miles Toyota Women's Prem League. So Horswell once again started out very well.
Yes.
They were actually leading for most of the first half. Tarina Wanoa with 11 and Fran Edmondson with 10 for Horswell. Unfortunately for Horswell, North Canterbury outscored the Green Machine 28-5 in the third quarter to take the lead, and then they kept it for the rest of the game to continue their unbeaten run. So Mary Goulding had 40 and Esma McGoldrick had 23 for North Canterbury, which gave North Canterbury an 89-50 victory.
So they held her below her recent scoring average of 50.
Mary, the 53.
But 40
Yeah.
is still pretty impressive.
Yeah, her and Ezra both with big buckets there.
But I guess it's a comeback win.
But
Yes,
it
yes,
would
yeah,
be-
technically
Which
it
is
is,
different
yes.
to the
It would
previous
be a
round.
comeback.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In the other game in the Women's Premier League, UC and Lincoln faced off in their final meeting of the regular season, but obviously may face each other in the semi-final.
Yep.
I don't know how those work still, but I'm assured that may be the case. So one of the most exciting games of the round, Lincoln's Lauren Hippolyte with 15, including 3 trays in the first half. In a back and forth game, UC up 6 in the third, Violet Eaton 18 and Hannah Miszewski 14. Lincoln stuck ahead by 1 at the end of the quarter. Brittany Richards scored 6 of her 24 here as they held UC to only 7 in the final quarter, and closing out the match 65-58.
Yeah, no, so it was a good back and forth game there, and it's hopefully what we're going to see more of the last couple of weeks of the season as well. On to the Miles Toyota Premier Men's League, Gators versus University of Canterbury. There were huge swings of momentum in this one. Gators were up 10 in the second quarter. Ben Carlisle Smith 15 points, 10 rebounds in the game. He scored 6 straight for that lead. Brent Fisher, though, usual workman-like self, 17 points, 11 rebounds. He scored 6 straight in the fourth for his team. But Matt Miszewski, 24 points, 3 massive 3-point baskets in the final quarter. And they were up 90 to 88 towards the end of the game, but it was game MVP Josh Peterman, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists before he hit this massive go-ahead 3 when they were down 2 to give them a 1-point win, 91-90. So well-deserved game MVP honours there for Josh Peterman. Tough win for UC to come away with, and very important for their hopes of the playoffs.
Josh is my favourite. I'm a fan of Josh. Second Miles Toyota Men's Prem game was Pioneer versus Atami, and the game was pretty close in the first half, but then Atami's experience kind of came through and they ran away with it in the second half. For Pioneer, Taylor Britt, tall black Taylor Britt, had 22, and Jessie Campbell with 18 for Pioneer. But for Atami, it was Derek Albertson's 21 and Patrick Rogers' 18 points, 11 rebounds, and game MVP that finally pulled it away for Atami to take the 108-88 lead in victory.
Good bounce back by Atami from last week.
Yes, it was. So,
and obviously continue their position at the top of the
yeah,
table.
I think they're the only team safe that's through to the semi-finals. Everyone else is
It's still
could be potentially knocked out.
Yeah, and in the other game, North Canterbury missing Ethan Rustbach, but had solid games from Nat Connell, 27 points and 12 rebounds, and Kieran Ball with 18 points. Checkers, however, won this game in the middle 2 quarters when they outscored North Canterbury by 22. Jordan Duggan with 20 points and Fletcher Arnold 17 points with 10 rebounds with an MVP performance. Checkers 101, North Canterbury 78. So Checkers starting to put the results together.
Potentially, yes.
Right, we just want to have a quick mention. We've received multiple emails, or I've received multiple emails in the past few weeks around coaching behaviour during our club games. So we just wanted to take the time to mention that while we thank all coaches for volunteering and we know that the game could not be played without your time, it's really important that we take into account what we're doing as coaches and why we're doing it, especially in the community space. So taking some time to set your intent and understanding what your role is during a game, monitoring your interactions between and with the referees, especially when it comes to our junior refs. If we don't treat them in a certain way, then we end up losing them, and then we can't play because we don't have refs. So if most people, majority of coaches are doing an absolutely fantastic job, but just 1 or 2 occasions where our emotions might get away from us in relation to dealing with referees, maybe players and parents. So if we all just as coaches take a minute to set our intent before we take the court, be a great role model and understand our role there is to facilitate the game, help grow the love of the sport and encourage knowledge and growth in our players. And our job is not to ref, not to commentate the game, not to yelling and screaming is not part of the job description. So if anybody needs any assistance with resources and how to deal with that as someone who knows and has had to monitor their own behaviour, definitely happy to help with that. And again, a big thanks to all the coaches for your time, but just we want to be a sport that's known for the quality of our referees and our coaches and our coaching behaviours. So if everyone can do their best to do that, that would be much appreciated by the CBA.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone plays a part in this game, and but you can only control what you can control, and that's your own behaviour.
Yeah, definitely. On to Glory League Game of the Week. This is an under-17 development game here between, I think lower middle, actually I can't even remember. Under-17 game anyway. Gators white versus Stack blue, but that's a misnomer as you'll see both teams are wearing white in the actual game, which may have contributed to the turnovers and good defence being played. Mac Haven-Peloton had 10 points here, beautiful hesitation move and layup at the rim, and he did score 3 baskets virtually identically, so I'm assuming that the defence eventually learned what his favourite move was. Ryken Barnes, 21 points, fantastic reverse layup along the baseline. It was near the end of the game here. Oliver Graves had 20 points, tied the game with this putback, I think, to put it in 56 each and send the game into overtime. Scott Jennett, 14 points, a tough kind of flip shot, push shot in overtime, and Wesley Vanderkoff, he scored the go-ahead bucket in overtime, 9 points overall for him, but nice cut here and finish at the rim. Final score, Gators White winning 63-61 in overtime over Stack Blue, who was playing in white as well.
No man.
They could trade uniforms with North Canterbury White, who was wearing black, I think, in another game.
Yeah. Names confuse people, Ralph. It's the kits that matter, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm like, if you have a colour in your name, please wear that colour uniform. That's a general rule I like to use.
It usually helps, yeah. Especially when you're trying to work out on Glory League which side's which, but there you go, yeah. Anyway, moving on to this weekend, we've got the Miles Toyota Premier League continuing, and the games this Saturday. The women are at 12:10. North Canterbury are up against UC on Cowles 1, and Holswell are playing Lincoln on Cowles 2. Lincoln seemingly have made the semi-finals.
Yes, they have, yeah.
And therefore they will play either UC or Holswell, but both those sides have an opportunity in the last 3 games to be Lincoln's opponents in the semi-finals. So yeah, it looks as though it's going to be fairly exciting finish in the last 3 games to that.
I think so. Their game, Holswell and UC's game, I can't remember if it's the week after or the one after that, could potentially be a de facto quarter-final to see winner goes through and loser may not.
Yeah, and turning to the men, at 1:45 we've got Gators who are 5-5 against NC 3-7. 3:20 Checkers with their improved form against the Talmy, which will be a very interesting game.
Yes, it will.
And then the final game of the day, Pioneer against Lincoln. But as James has alluded to before, practically every other team other than the Talmy is still playing.
Yes, they are. Yeah, McDonald's Thompson and Whelan Trophy. We had some thrilling games on Tuesday, as we kind of expected with the end of the regular season games in the Thompson Division 1. Stack Boys held on to beat Christ College 109-105, so that locks in the number 1 and 2 seeds, both locally and then at the AA National Tournament. St Bede's and the battle with Shirley, which if they lost this would have been a 3-way tie for the 3rd spot going to Nationals. They did pull away from what was a tie game at half-time to win 95-82, so St Bede's gets that all-important number 3 spot, and now fingers crossed the Nationals does go ahead. And then in the battle, what ended up being the battle for the 4th seed, Cashmere versus Middleton Grange. These games all were happening at the same time. It was Cashmere who had a 1-point win, very thrilling thing, and they lock in the number 4 seed locally. So those are the 4 teams that will be playing next week. Well, actually, Stack and Christ College get the week off, but 2 of those teams will, and they played Boys High and Rangiora. Whelan Division 2, Lincoln beat Cashmere 86-78, so they've locked up a place in the final in their group with no semi-finals there, and then Ellesmere and Cashmere will be playing each other in the final regular season game, which will become basically a de facto semi-final game as well. So winner of that will go through to play Lincoln in the grand final of the whole competition. Whelan Division 1, St Andrews and Rangiora are both locked into semi-final spots. Ashburton's locked in from the other pool, but the second team from their pool is still to be decided, so we have one game playing on Thursday night. Your team
That is correct.
is involved in that, but you are the team that kindly said yes, we can play on a different
We did
different
kindly
date.
say that.
Yes,
Yes,
so
we did.
we thank you for that, but makes it a bit harder for me to say who's going to be playing at this point in time.
It's still an excellent competition, and obviously, the final qualifying place came down to that last game, and even the last half of the game.
Yes,
because it was tied up right through to that second half. So great competition there, and good luck to those qualifiers at the Nationals. And touch wood, in the next few days we'll be able to tell them whether or not they are going advance to North or not. So let's wait and see. Anyway, moving on, players of the week, I think, aren't we?
Yes.
My player of the week is Lambert Villoria. As you see, flashy handles with 3 crossovers before sliding through the D to score. So cool player there.
Yes.
Nice. My player of the week is Aaliyah Newton from out in North Canterbury with the steal and dribbling through majority of the opposing team for a layup right down the middle. So nice job there, Aaliyah.
And my one's Max Goran from the Selwyn Hawks. He had 2 dunks early in the game, which were pretty nice, but nothing compared to this one. Turns defence into offence with the steal, and he serves up a massive facial as someone, bad decision for your health and safety and poster sort of standards to get up there and try and block a shot and find that you're about this far up on the goal and he just crams it on you. So very impressive dunk, well 3 dunks, but especially this one for Max Goran and his Selwyn Hawks team.
Good job, Max. We want to take a moment to once again thank the Christchurch City Council and their Strengthening Communities Fund for their continued support. Christchurch City Council, continued support of our basketball programs, and we would find things exceptionally difficult if we didn't have their support. So thank you very much to that, Christchurch City Council.
Yes, and the venues that we use are very easy to deal with. And
I mean, everyone tends to moan about the council, don't they? But it's important that we highlight when they do things like this. They do set aside funds to support local communities in doing things that they do within the communities, and they see basketball across the city as an important thing to sport. So thanks very much.
I think the wrap-up music started outside, so we will now take this opportunity to wrap up week 14 of the closeout. Good job, good effort.
Be cool, be kind, be great coaches.
Watch that behaviour.